The satellite passes over Egypt's delta region. Again, the same coordinates NASA has mapped 1,000 times before. Then the screen flickers. The infrared scanner picks up something impossible. 17 geometric shadows, perfect pyramids, where nothing should exist. This is not a glitch. This is Tanis. Dr. Sarah Parcak sits in her lab at the University of Alabama, staring at satellite imagery that makes no sense. She's using infrared and multispectral analysis, technology originally designed to track Soviet missile sites during the Cold War. Now she's pointing it at Egypt. The infrared penetrates the sand, revealing density variations invisible to the human eye. Stone foundations appear as darker shadows. Mud brick shows up lighter, and what she's seeing, it shouldn't be there. 17 pyramid structures, a grid of streets laid out with mathematical precision, over 3,000 ancient buildings, an entire metropolis, all of it buried under just inches of sand and farmland. Farmers have been plowing these fields for generations, walking directly over pharaonic temples without knowing what lies beneath their feet. But here's what makes this discovery different from every other archaeological find in Egypt's history. These structures aren't buried under desert dunes or lost in some remote valley. They're hidden under the Nile Delta's most populated agricultural region. People are living on top of them, growing crops directly above 3,000-year-old pyramids. The city didn't vanish into the desert. The desert rose up and swallowed it whole. Tanis was once Egypt's capital during the 21st dynasty. The pharaohs ruled from here after Thebes fell into decline. This wasn't some minor settlement. This was the political heart of Lower Egypt, a city that rivaled Memphis in power and wealth. Ancient texts mention Tanis dozens of times. The Bible refers to it as Zoan. Greek historians called it one of the greatest cities in the world. Then, silence. The city disappears from historical records around 400 AD. No explanation, no documented conquest or natural disaster, just gone. For over 1,500 years, archaeologists assumed Tanis had been completely excavated. The French discovered the site in 1825. They found massive stone temples, colossal statues, royal tombs filled with gold, but they believed they'd uncovered everything of value. They mapped what they thought was the entire city footprint. They were wrong, catastrophically wrong. The satellite data revealed something that changed everything. The excavated portions of Tanis, the temples and tombs that filled museums across Europe, represented less than 10% of the actual city. The rest remained untouched, perfectly preserved under layers of Nile silt and desert sand. The complete archaeological site was just the tip of the iceberg. The 17 pyramids show up on the infrared scans as perfect geometric heat signatures. They're smaller than the famous pyramids at Giza, but their mathematical precision is identical. Each one aligned to cardinal directions with astronomical accuracy. Each one part of a larger grid system that suggests urban planning on a scale historians didn't think was possible for this period of Egyptian history. These weren't royal pyramids built for pharaohs. These were something else entirely. The satellite imagery revealed the street layout, and that's where things get genuinely strange. The city follows a grid pattern, perfect right angles, streets that run exactly north-south and east-west. This is Roman-style urban planning, but Tanis predates Roman influence in Egypt by over 700 years. The city was already ancient when Rome was still a collection of mud huts on the Tiber River. So how did Egyptian architects in 1000 BC develop urban planning techniques that wouldn't appear in Mediterranean civilization for another millennium? The team identified over 3,000 structures in their initial survey: houses, workshops, markets, administrative buildings, a harbor complex that once connected to the Nile's main channel, warehouses that stored grain for the entire delta region, all of it intact, all of it waiting beneath a thin layer of soil that farmers disturb every planting season without ever breaking through to the stone beneath. But here's the part that keeps archaeologists awake at night. The city's preservation is too perfect. Most ancient sites show signs of gradual decay. Stone gets weathered, walls collapse, roofs cave in, natural entropy takes its toll over millennia, but Tanis shows none of that. The structures remain geometrically precise even after 3,000 years underground. The grid pattern stays perfect. The alignment to cardinal directions never wavers. It's as if the city was functioning one day, then someone hit pause, and the sand moved in to preserve everything exactly as it was. The harbor reveals the city's true scale. Ancient Tanis wasn't just a religious center or administrative capital. It was a major trading hub. The satellite scans show massive warehouse complexes along the ancient waterfront, docking facilities that could accommodate dozens of ships simultaneously, a canal system that connected the harbor to the main Nile Channel, allowing cargo vessels to move goods directly from the Mediterranean to Upper Egypt without touching land. But the Nile Delta is constantly shifting. River channels change course. Harbors that once bustled with activity end up miles from water. That's what happened to Tanis. The Nile's main channel slowly migrated east, leaving the city's harbor system high and dry. Without access to water, without trade, the city couldn't sustain itself. The population dwindled, buildings fell into disuse, and then the sand came. The Nile Delta isn't like the desert around Cairo or Luxor. The sand here is different. It's finer, heavier, laden with silt from annual floods. When it moves, it doesn't form dunes. It forms layers, flat, compressed layers that build up slowly over centuries. A few millimeters per year, that's all it takes. In 2,000 years, you get several feet of accumulation, enough to bury a 3-story building, enough to hide an entire city. The 17 pyramids present a different mystery. They're not burial monuments. Ground-penetrating radar shows no burial chambers, no internal passages, no treasure rooms. They're solid structures, built with the same precision as royal pyramids, but serving an entirely different purpose. Some archaeologists believe they were astronomical markers, part of a larger system for tracking celestial events. Others think they were boundary markers, defining sacred precincts within the urban grid. But nobody knows for certain. Nobody has excavated one yet. The technology that revealed Tanis is now being used across Egypt. Infrared satellite scanning has identified hundreds of previously unknown sites, temple complexes in the desert, tombs in the Valley of the Kings that escaped ancient looters, entire settlements that appeared in historical records but were never found. The country is essentially being X-rayed from space, revealing layer after layer of hidden history. But Tanis remains the crown jewel of these discoveries. The sheer scale of what's buried there defies comprehension. Archaeologists estimate it would take 300 years to fully excavate the site using traditional methods, 3 centuries of digging to uncover what's hidden under a few inches of soil. Most of it will probably never be excavated. The cost is too high, the manpower requirements too severe, the political complications too complex. The farmers who own the land aren't eager to give it up for archaeological research. So the city waits. The pyramids stay hidden. The grid of streets remains untouched. And every year, farmers plow their fields, plant their crops, and harvest their grain, completely unaware that they're walking on top of one of the greatest architectural achievements in human history. The satellite still passes overhead, still scanning, still revealing new details with each pass. The infrared shows more structures appearing as scan resolution improves, more pyramids, more temples, more evidence that everything we thought we knew about Tanis was incomplete. Somewhere beneath the delta's fertile soil lies the answer to how this city achieved its geometric perfection, how it developed urban planning centuries ahead of its time, how it sustained a population large enough to rival Memphis and Thebes, and why it disappeared so completely that 1,500 years of archaeology barely scratched its surface. The ghost pyramids of Tanis aren't really ghosts. They're shadows, shadows of a civilization that achieved something extraordinary, then vanished beneath the sand while the world forgot it was ever there. But the shadows remain, visible only to satellites, waiting for someone to finally dig down through those few inches of soil and reveal what's been hiding in plain sight for 3,000 years. The screen flickers again. The infrared scanner moves on to the next coordinate, but the 17 pyramids stay exactly where they've always been, perfect, precise, hidden, waiting.